I believe that the Bible is one of the most important books on the earth because it's really telling you some really interesting things, but if you don't understand how to read the symbols, it's never going to dawn on you how this stuff works. I think the New Testament is probably the most important story in the whole world, but not as history, but as a metaphor, as an encoded message. In the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis 1:1 says, in the King James Bible, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. But that's not what it says in the old ancient Hebrew or Phoenician language. That's not what it says in the original language. That's how it was translated from the English, in the King's English. However, they know more about the language today than what they did then, and so there's a lot of imperfections in the King James Bible that could be misleading unless you understand what the words actually meant in the ancient world. And so when you read in the beginning, this is Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. That's not what it says in Hebrew. It says, in the beginning of the creation, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Elohim is not the word God. El is a Phoenician, Canaanite name or word for deity, El, E-L. Elohim is like adding an S onto an English word. You have C-A-R for car, or C-A-R-S, cars, more than one. Well, that's exactly what Elohim means. El is God, Elohim is plural. So the correct understanding should be read, in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth, not God. This is why, incidentally, in Genesis 1:28 it says, God said, come, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Who's us and our? Was God talking to himself? Later on in Genesis, I think it's 3, the scripture says, God said, here man has become as one of us, knowing good and evil. The point is, who is God talking about? Us. Here's man made in our image after looking like us. Here, now he's like us. Who's us? Who's our? Well, it's Elohim, the gods. So consequently, what we're talking about here is that the gods created us, created the heavens and the earth and all things on it. But interesting, in Genesis 1:2 says, and the earth was without form and void. That's another mistranslation. In the original, it does not say that the earth was without form and void. Actually, it says, and the earth became a waste and a desolation. Consequently, if you go to Genesis 9, which is Genesis 9:1, where God is talking to Noah after the flood of Noah's day, and God says to Noah, now understanding that according to the story, everyone has been wiped off the earth in the great flood, and so God says to Noah and his sons, his 3 sons, go forth into the world now and multiply and replenish the earth. And you ask the question, wait a minute, the word is R-E, replenish the earth, meaning, not plenish, replenish, meaning do it again. Why? Well, simply because before Noah, there was a whole civilization. God brings a flood, according to the story. God brings a flood, destroys the world and all life on it. And now God is saying to Noah and his sons and their wives, go now on the earth and reproduce and fill the earth and replenish the earth. Well, that is a correct translation from the Hebrew, and I've talked to rabbis about that. And the word is replenish, R-E, means do it again. Okay, it makes sense that God would be telling Noah to redo it again. However, if you go back to Genesis 1:28, where God is creating, the first chapter of the Bible, where God is creating man, and man and woman, Adam and Eve, he says to Adam and Eve, multiply and replenish the earth. Do it again, replenish the earth. Implying, of course, do it again. What are you talking about doing again? Well, if you just read Genesis 1:2 correctly, it said, and the earth was without form and void. No, the earth became a waste and a desolation. So the rabbis will tell you, and the rabbinical reference works will tell you, that what is being said in Genesis 1:2 and in 1:28, when man and woman are being created, is that God is recreating all over again. And so consequently, the Bible, the Old Testament, is a story for this dispensation, this time the world is being recreated. Now, what happened a million years ago, 10,000 or 100,000 years ago, that's none of your business. For you right now, this is what you need to understand. And the bottom line is that we are not the first creatures on the earth, the first time man's been on the earth. We now know that man has been on the earth probably millions and millions of years, and that for us to think that mankind was created 6,000, 7,000, 10,000 years ago is ludicrous, because we know better than that. And that's what the Bible is saying. God is saying, replenish the earth to Adam and Eve. Do it again. Who is God? Well, the scripture says, and this is a very difficult word to deal with, God, G-O-D, because that's a lot of baggage. What are you talking about when you talk about God? Well, God is dog spelled backwards, as I said. This is why churches have dogma in their teachings, because it goes back to Anubis, the dog star, Anubis the dog, the god of, in the ancient Egyptian religion. That in Genesis 1:2, the earth became a waste and a desolation. The two Hebrew words that are being translated there is tohu and vohu. Tohu, vohu, waste, desolation. There's only two places in the Bible where tohu, vohu is used, and those two places, they're always used together. And there's only two places to start with. One is in Jeremiah, and one is in Genesis 1:2. And in the scripture in Jeremiah says, I saw the earth in a vision, and the earth was tohu vohu, meaning the earth became, and my eyes, I saw the earth, and it became a waste and a desolation. Well, when did that happen? Well, according to the Jeremiah prophecy, it happened many, many, many thousands of years before. And the prophet Isaiah said God gave him a vision, and in the vision he saw the earth and tohu vohu, which is the earth became in his eyes. It was beautiful. It was, and the scripture says that, Jeremiah says, and the earth was beautiful. Its animals, its birds, its civilizations were absolutely beautiful to see. And then tohu vohu, it became a waste and a desolation. Some kind of a major catastrophe, tohu vohu. When you go back to Genesis 1:2, tohu vohu is always understood to be a situation that the earth goes through when it changes from what the ancients called one dispensation to another dispensation, or one period of time in God's history, not our history, but in the history of the universal God force, the way it keeps time. And of course, it's theoretically using the term God. How does God keep time? Well, my Lord, God's forever, forever. So, I mean, how long would that be? So in the universal God force concept of time, millions of years are nothing. So consequently, what is being said there is that tohu vohu implies a total destruction on a cosmic level between dispensations of creation between God. Some terrible catastrophe happened on the earth in which the gods were angry, and the whole thing was just leveled. And Jeremiah was allowed to see tohu vohu, a total destruction all over the earth, a major catastrophe. The normal way people think that the scripture is saying, when it says God said, come let us make man in our image after our likeness, most people think that that's God is saying, come let us create a creature, let us make a new creation, a creature, and we will call him maybe we'll call him man and woman, man with a womb, man. That's what most people understand that scripture to mean. That's not what it says at all. Yes, the correct way to understand that is the gods were saying, come, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Not make man, man's already here. Come, let us remake man, do it again. Let us make man according to our image and our likeness. And so the ancient Jews and the Hebrews and all the ancient civilizations, starting all the way back to Sumeria, understood what was being said. It's just that we don't understand, because all we get is our news from ABC. We wouldn't know anything about what's going on. But if you go back to the ancient works, you will find that the ancient people, the Sumerians, Babylonians, Phoenician Canaanites, Egyptians, the ancient Greeks and Romans, all of them understood that we are the creation of another entity. We are the creation of the gods. And according to Zecharia Sitchin, and he's not the only one, he's just one that I know personally, but according to the work of Zecharia Sitchin, the Sumerians are saying that extraterrestrials came here from a planet called Nibiru. And consequently, according to the Sumerians, and now we're beginning to scientifically find out that he was right. The Sumerians are right. The U.S. Navy has even commented on now that there seems to be